Great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Thursday, May 29th, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, broadcasting from the United States of America. I could prove it. We've got a president who actually cares about the American people and America's self-interest. It's amazing. It's also the place where the brave, like the veterans we salute today, thanks to John Basiliga and his great companies, have made us and kept us free. People like Joseph Swerble, Hazelton, Joseph Mallist, Avoca, Joseph Coyson, Scranton, Gene Saravitz, Taylor, Charles Lamoureux, 40 Fort, Charles James, Dallas. Veterans we lost this year, but celebrate today for serving all of us. The United States of America, the country where for the first time in human history, freedom, yes, your freedom, was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. It was not something that could be parceled out to groups. It was not something that could be controlled by government or government officials. Our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. Yeah, they misuse it. Yeah, they lie. But so what? We know better. They're free. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show will always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you a sanctuary of sanity in a world where cutting wasteful government spending is a bad thing. Wow! You think about these things and you just say to yourself, what is going on here? Like, what? Tell me, please. What am I missing? Well, I've got Chauncey in today. Cutie's away, and so I had to take Chauncey into the studio because I didn't have another arrangement. And he's here. He's flitting about. Well, he doesn't flit. He's too big for that. But we'll see. We'll see how this goes today. I've got cleaning products. I've got bones for him. I got everything. So this effort, I'm actually sort of quiet around the house. So maybe to hear me talking for 3 hours might be different. Somebody texted in, good morning, Bob, ALTS. These clips at the opening of your show made me remember something. The Democrats took another page out of the Nazi playbook. Repeat a lie enough times and it becomes the truth. I know. It's unreal. And they just keep doing it. Again, the guy who wrote the definitive, and I'm reading it, my man Bill from Pittston gave it to me. He wrote the definitive book called The Original Sin, Jake Tapper. Was not only one of the primary defenders of Joe Biden's mental acuity, he was part of the cover-up. He's exposing himself. Yeah, he apologized publicly to Laura Trump. Remember what he used to do? And he did it more than once, by the way. Oh, you're making fun of somebody with a stutter. Yeah, right. No, I'm making fun of someone who has no clue what he's doing. And we've got to look at all of these things. We've got to look at all of his actions. Man, particularly the judgeships. Joe Biden brought in the most disgraceful left-wing lunatic unqualified judges that has ever been presented in this country. And we're hearing from them, and they and the Obama judges in particular. Bugsar texts in. He says, awesome start to the show, and diehards will argue and defend their idiocies and destructions they've done. Yeah, I don't get it. I say this to you guys often. I don't understand. Why would you defend the indefensible? And I mean, they do it vigorously. Why would you want to be on that side? Why would you want to be involved with that? I don't get it. I don't get it. Man, and what everything we told them, everything we talked about on this program, and many others, by the way. This wasn't just here. In Joe Biden's hometown. The man didn't have it. He's shot. He's finished. Yeah. You're wrong. You're vicious. You're lying. Unreal. And now what do they say? They say nothing. They don't even talk about it. And as I've told you, throwing Biden under the bus for his dismal performance as president, the worst we've ever had, throwing him under the bus for being a fruitcake allows them to continue the myth that their policies are not idiotic failures and destined to fail. So they can keep going. Bernie Sanders can keep going. Oh, socialism's... Man, these are nuts. These people are nuts. Don't confuse yourself and think, man, am I missing something? No, you're not. They're insane. Let's take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Chauncey in the house. We'll be back after these great messages, a little history, a little music, and then you, 570-883-0098. How about this? I mean, you don't adjust the dial if you have a dial. I doubt you do. May 29th, 1942, Bing Crosby recorded his iconic hit, White Christmas, at Radio Recorders in Los Angeles, California. The John Scott Trotter Orchestra and Ken Darby Singers added to the song. It only took 20 minutes to record. So basically, almost a one-take deal. And what a classic. Well, this is when it was recorded. Murph can't help that. This is when they did it. Why? I don't know. You think they would have waited till, I don't know, September? Who knows? But we start off with that. Bob Cordaro back with you. And, of course, Major League Baseball. It doesn't mean much to very many people, even very many baseball fans. But essentially saying, the U.S. Supreme Court saying baseball's a sport, not a business. And so they're exempt from certain rules. By the way, Brian Hughes brings in the newspapers, and I see on the front page, we thought we were done with former Commissioner Debbie Dominic. And now I don't know if she's suing or what she's doing. She's elected. They give her a job. They give her a handout. Okay? The judges now. They give her a handout, and now she goes, because I'm a woman, I didn't get benefits to go with it. Wow. I mean, the chutzpah it's so off the charts you can't even make it up. $1,500 a month. Okay, probably to do very little or nothing. So it's here, you were a commissioner, let's give you something. By the way, something I never had happen for me. But she's writing to the commissioners, telling them I'm being discriminated against because I'm a woman. What? Yeah, I didn't get benefits because I'm a woman. In other words, the handout they gave me was not good enough. I'm mad. And she's been doing it since June, by the way, last year. She's discovered. Somebody says the new radio show in the morning, Bob and Chauncey. He's not small, but I'm gonna pick him up for the live streamers, so you can see Chauncey. He's a cute little guy. He's 70 pounds at this point, only 4 months old, but he's. I'll show you the Chauncey, the bull mastiff. But we've got to take a break. We want to hear from our great sponsors. When we come back, we're going to do a Veterans Tribute. We're going to do the weather. And then we'd love to talk to you. 570-883-0098. It's the Bob Cordaro Show, Thursday, May 29th. We'll be back. Our Veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga, one of his great companies, Basiliga Hospitality, and they are experiencing and giving us a grand opening of the Queen City Tavern, downtown Oliphant, Lackawanna Avenue. The Bulldog and I are going. We're actually going today. I owe him lunch because of a great ratings report we got. So that's where we're going at 4 o'clock. But it's the grand opening. I'm excited. Joseph Swerble passed away March 12th this year after a courageous battle with pancreatic cancer. Joe was born in Hazleton, went to local schools there. He was a home builder, construction business for most of his life. He later relocated to Beaufort, Georgia. Was a member of the American Legion post down there. He was an officer in the Sons of the American Legion, vice commander and adjutant. He ran the ROTC and so many other programs special to the Legion. He loved sports. He was living in Lehigh Acres, Florida when he passed, sharing a residence with his son. In addition to his son, he's survived by 3 brothers, a sister, and many other family members. Joseph Swerble. Joseph Malist. He was from Avoca. We lost him April 5th at age 81. Born in Wilkes-Barre, 1964 graduate of Plains Memorial High School. Army veteran, serving with the 24th Infantry Division. He worked for Luzerne Products of Plainsville and then the Tobyhanna Army Depot for 30 years. He enjoyed fishing with his late wife, Dorothy. They loved the polkas on WVIA and elsewhere. His wife, Dorothy, however, predeceased him. Survived by his daughter, granddaughters, sister, and many other family members. Joseph Malist. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by the totally renovated Queen City Tavern, grand reopening today starting at 4. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, clouds, some breaks of sun, chance of a passing shower, but it'll still be 72 degrees. Tonight, cloudy with a chance of showers, 58. Friday, partly cloudy with a chance of showers, 76. Saturday, cloudy and cooler. Well, that's not good. With showers, high 63. Sunday, cloudy with a chance of a shower, 65. So last night, my friend John Menorah and my other friend Jack Hens, both U of R graduates. I can't speak for them, but we're not talking and bragging about our governor being a graduate of U of R. But we had some football recruits and their parents for dinner. I would say I was a guest too. At La Cucina in Dunmore. It was a great little thing. It was fun. And you see these young kids. And the funniest part about it is we're talking to kids, and they're like young enough to be our grandchildren at this point, which is just crazy. In fact, Jack's son, Christian, he goes to Rochester and plays football up there. So, they're old enough to have their own kids. The passage of time. I think of our crazy former vice president, the significance of the passage of time. Well, maybe she had something there in her gibberish. Bobby, it's Sean from Lawrenceville. I keep thinking about those cheesesteak egg rolls. And he said he had to make cheesesteaks for dinner. This was the special that they have at the Queen City Tavern. I'm telling you, I can't even wait to get at them. You know, with the Bulldogs sitting across from me, though, maybe I won't eat as much. I don't know. We'll see. But Sean wants me to try the cheesesteak egg rolls at Queen City Tavern and report back. LTS, I will. LTS, I will. So we had this event. I don't know. It's just great to be around young kids and these kids that are, football players, athletes, and then to see some of our old friends, the Kwok brothers. They are great people, lawyers, the whole family lawyers. Carl, one of the chiefs at the Cephalo law firm. So great friend. And our friend Gray Bossy was there, and he runs this home health care office. Man, I can't believe I'm forgetting the name, but headquartered in Dunmore. They've got like 900 employees, like an amazing business. And he's a great guy. So, yeah, we had a good gang, good fun last night. I walked down in the rain with an umbrella and walked back in the rain with an umbrella. I was very sort of proud of myself. Yeah. So, I've got I don't think I talked enough about the Indianapolis 500. I mentioned it once or twice, but it was such a great American event. I'm going to try to never miss it again, and I'm going to try to go there someday. I mean, they had prayer, they had patriotism. One of the greatest things I saw, and you guys may not think it's so great, there was a guy with a beer in his hand. And he had his hand with the beer at his heart. I don't know if it was during the national anthem or America the Beautiful. They did both. It was really something. And they put the history on Fox. They did great coverage. The history of the Brickyard is what they call it, because the original track was Bricks. It was real. I'm telling you, it's Indianapolis 500. They say it's the great American race, all that kind of thing. Well, it is. All right, and so the Biden Brain Class number 1, Indianapolis 500 number 2 in our 5 to follow. Number 3, the big, beautiful bill facing some questions in the Senate by people who want to actually cut spending. Couldn't cut it in the House. So that's what I'm saying. Don't believe the liars. There are no cuts. I promise this. They are taking people off Medicare, Medicaid. Now, by the way, my man Mark Mayer checking in, because he's a U of R guy also. But Musk lamenting on Sunday morning on CBS the bill that they're trying to pass, that the House has already passed, cannot be big and beautiful. It can be one or the other, and he's right. And he's frustrated. After all the abuse he took and all of the just amazing work that he and the Doge team did to prove what a scam the federal government and the establishment were. Yeah. Unbelievable. My man Mayor Jamie, he's going to meet me. He's going to meet me there. Although he's got to behave himself, so we might drink milk. Yeah, you don't have to drink just because it's a bar. I'll see you there, me and the Bulldog. Yeah, Trump was very measured in his response to that comment because Musk is right. There are no spending cuts in the big, beautiful bill. And it does not codify the cuts that and waste that Musk found with Doge. So it's a huge disappointment for him from a very narrow perspective. You've got to get something passed, though. You have to. There's no choice. So Musk leaving, and not a big deal. Oh, no. Mayor Jamie says he's not meeting me at the Queen City Tavern. He means at the Indianapolis 500. Well, that's pie in the sky, Jamie. Stop it. But this big, beautiful bill is it's big, but it isn't beautiful. It's rather ugly, but it's Trump saying, hey, this is what we can get, and I hope the Senate improves it. We'll see. We'll see. And then you got to come back to the House and try to hold those votes together. Because everybody's screaming. I'm seeing signs in yards. I walked by a house last night, and it said, no Medicaid cuts, or we need Medicaid, some nonsense like that. This has been unbelievable. And I pulled out of the paper yesterday. We have these fools, and that's what they are, frankly. They're fools and shills. They're protesting outside Rob Bresnahan's office in 44. I mean, these people are idiots. I'm sorry, you're idiots. You believe a lie that they're actually cutting spending. A woman called Megan Kocher. These are all paid people, by the way. He said he'd protect Medicare, Rob Bresnahan did. And he's right, he did. They say it slashes the program. That's a lie. How does an entire political movement, because they're not, you can't call them a political party, the Democrats anymore. How does an entire political movement base itself on lies? I don't get it. Somebody said, Bob, did you read the whole big, beautiful bill? Of course I didn't. Numerous Republicans said they didn't read the whole bill. Of course they didn't. These things are thousands of pages. And by the way, they're in very archaic language. It's not, they're not written in plain English either. Somebody said the Dems don't believe there's a scam uncovered by Doge. They won't admit it, but they have their voters snowed. So these people are protesting at Rob Bresnahan's office. The liars. They are the liars. Saying that what Rob voted for was a cut. And by the way, nothing to do with the continuation of the tax rates. Passed, which they sort of forget, 8 years ago. The tax rates were there 8 years ago. The only tax cuts in this bill, this is why they're such disgusting people. The only tax cuts in this bill are for tips, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and a tax credit for Social Security recipients under a certain income level. So working class people who these fools claim they're protesting for, the liars. This is Megan Kocher lost against a Republican in last year's primary. She's big mad. Yeah, typical. Typical. And you give them the money. And then the citizen's voice goes out and covers them as though they're normal, as though they're not lying. And then, I got to say this. Shame on Bob Kalinowski who wrote the story. Call them on the lie. What got cut? Nothing. Nothing. Oh, and then you get to this complete ass Chris Kelly. That's another story. We may get into it, we may not. He's hardly worth the time, but where it epitomizes the stupidity, the lying, the intentional deception of the left, he's emblematic. And so that's why we talk about him. There's nothing there except the lies, the script. That's the script. I mean, by the way, we don't have the money. Did anybody, where are we going here? Oh my God. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Let's hear from our great sponsors, the Bloomberg Money Minute, and then we'll come back and talk to you. 570-883-0098. Ricky Nelson. I love this song. Murph says he had his only #1 hit. This date, 1961. How about that? I'll give you guys a look at Chauncey on the live stream after the news. After the news. All right, I have one screen not working, but we got a caller I want to get to. Bulldog, can you tell me who it is? It just says, oh, Bill from Pittston on the blower. He's talking about getting rid of the Biden highway. Bill, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm enjoying that book you gave me. It's stunning, frankly. You just say, what in... You almost can't believe it's America, that they could get away with this kind of thing.
You know, that's the sad thing. This is only the tip of the iceberg, and people don't realize that everything they accuse Trump of being an existential threat, which is ridiculous. Anyway, the thing is, they're totalitarianists. Yep. I mean, look what they did. You have a governor that has a snitch line. You got people reporting other people. You've got people losing their jobs because they won't get a shot. I mean, is that not totalitarianism?
Yep.
Where they just take over everything they accuse Trump of. The Democrats have done, and the voters are just so stupid. And then you got 5 guys running the country saying, you know, they just get them elected and they'll show proof of life, and they can run the country.
Do you think the people protesting at Bresnan's office, based on lies, by the way, do you think they care about any of this? It's unbelievable. Why don't they care about the truth at all?
They would say anything as long as they get a buck. That's all they are, is professional people that go out and spread more lies. And anybody that falls for that has to be pretty stupid.
It's astonishing stuff. And they'll say it with conviction. Oh, they're cutting. People are going to die. They say it. Wow.
Oh, yeah. I've been hearing that since I was a kid, and even before that. It's just, you know, it's just one of the mantras that the Democrats spread.
Unreal. Anyway, you called about the signs.
Yeah, I would like to. Do you know any progress about getting it removed? And if you can't get it removed, could we have it altered to say Joe Biden, village idiot?
Here's the story. There's going to be 3 new people on the council. The 3 blind mice who formed the majority for Mayor Cognetti, 2 of the 3 are leaving. Thank God. And so there's a chance if we get 4 votes on the Scranton City Council, or if we beat Cognetti, there's 2 opportunities there to get rid of the name on the street and the expressway. We'll see.
Yeah. Yep, that's good news. Let's hope it happens.
It's just a continuing embarrassment. It's a continuing embarrassment for all of us to have that name, as though we're proud of this. And now we're proud of a nursing home. By the way, not just a nursing home patient, a degenerated nursing home patient being in the White House from Scranton, Pennsylvania. And we're proud of this? We look like a bunch of idiots.
Well, let's face it. He only comes for photo ops, even at the best of times. And I know a policeman that was covering, I think I told you this before, he took him back to the old homestead, and Biden was talking, he did this, he did that, he did this. And the Secret Service agent said to a policeman, that's not, Mr. President, that's not your house. It's the other one over there. I know that to be true.
Oh, Lordy, Lord. It's scary what we've went through. You know, our relief at surviving Joe Biden cannot be enough, because we've got to reverse everything he did, everything the left did, everything the Marxists did, everything the Democrat Party did. We've got to reverse completely and then protect ourselves from it in the future. Right now, we don't have the horsepower to do it.
we have to prosecute those 5 guys that were running this country. They weren't elected officials.
I don't think they did anything criminal. I don't think they did anything criminal, Bill. I'm sorry to tell you. Unethical, wrong, all of that. But I don't see any prosecutable offense. I've listened to some, legal minds say, yeah, there might be. Well, they're groping just for clicks. There's nothing illegal about covering up in politics.
Yeah, it's almost like the Woodrow Wilson scandal where his wife literally, and they've proven it without a doubt now. They found information from his personal physician that she was signing bills, that she was running the country.
Yeah.
And it's another travesty of justice. But why don't you bring these guys out and put them on trial and just make them look like fools and humiliate them?
That's where the House Committee, the House Operations Committee can do its work by exposing this. And exposing the American people. That's what it is. And say they can't get away with the lies anymore. And here's how bad it was. And here's the Democrat Party of today. Just know this. We'll see, though. We will see. Thank you, Bill. Always a pleasure, my man. We've got to go to the news with Brian Hughes. We'll be back for hour number 2. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Great good morning, everyone. 11:09 a.m. here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Thursday, May 29, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values. And with the help of our good friend and super patriot, John Basiliga, and his great companies, featuring the grand opening today of the Queen City Tavern, Lackawanna Avenue, Oliphant. We honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People we lost this year, but celebrate. Joseph Mallist, Avoca. Joseph Swerble, Hazelton. Joseph Koizen, Roaring Brook, but he was a Scrantonian. Gene Saravitz, Taylor. Charles Lamoureux, 40 Fort. And Charles James, Wilkes, Dallas. So with history, our great founding fathers, the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Well, you may, if you were watching Fox News, you may have heard from our next guest, who's been a frequent visitor to this program, Francis Rooney, on the naming of the new pope. He was their expert commentator because not only was he a congressman from Florida, he was our ambassador to the Holy See. And so nobody knows more of the inside. And I said, well, let him do his thing. We'll get him soon enough to talk about this new papacy. Francis Rooney, welcome back, Ambassador, to the Bob Cordaro Show.
Thanks for having me back on.
Hey, it must have been exciting observing all of this and then having the expertise to comment on everything that was going on as the new pope was named.
Oh, it was amazing. I never thought we'd have an American pope, much less one that my family's known for 30 years.
Really? Tell us about that.
Well, Father Bob, as we used to call him, became head of the Midwest Augustinian province in the late 90s, and our children attended a Augustinian high school in Tulsa, and I was on the board of it. He'd come down to the board meetings every month, and we'd have an afternoon board meeting and then a dinner and a reception or something for him. I even took all the Augustinians from Cash Hall up to his investiture ceremony back in 97 or something. And then, lo and behold, around 2003, he became head of all the Augustinian order and moved to Rome. And then 2 years later, we moved to Rome.
How about that? So you rejoined your companion, the new pope. Wow, that's great stuff.
Yeah, we saw him 3 days a week or so the whole 3 years we were in Rome.
Did you have any inkling that he would be named?
Well, the print media and TV had listed him among about 20, 25 people that they considered in the running. I was surprised to see it, but that was because Pope Francis had made him a cardinal and put him in charge of the bishops, which is a good position to meet a lot of people, I guess. And I guess it was assumed that he was close to Pope Francis. I thought it would be Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the Secretary of State, who's also a friend of ours.
There was a lot of consternation about, a lot of us thought that our previous pope, God bless him, God rest his soul, holy man, good man, but he was too liberal in terms of administering the church and in some cases not forceful enough in standing up for Christianity. I think we got the whole package with this guy, or I certainly hope so.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is going to be an improvement. I think that on the important and good things that Pope Francis pushed, like, immigration, dealing humanely with immigrants, and some of the other social justice issues, which the Catholic Church is always going to be for, I think that Pope Leo will do it in a more measured manner, more consistent with historic doctrine. He will be a defender of the doctrine of the Church, and he's also has experience in operating that order, so he has organizational experience. He won't make some of the disastrous mistakes that some recent popes have with financial scandals and people scandals and all that.
Did you think, and a lot of people are saying this, and I don't think it's untrue, and maybe part of the story. There's many, many reasons why the conclave would choose a pope. But they said, you know what, if they pick an American, which had been verboten prior to this choice, they said, well, if you pick an American, your fundraising, which we desperately need, is going to accelerate. Do you think that was part of the thinking?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think the fact that Father Bob had spent 10 or 12 years in Peru ministering to the poor after being head of the Augustinians probably made him more of a multinational candidate. He's a dual citizen of the U.S. and Peru. That made him an acceptable American, I think.
You may not have. I found this so funny and so human to have him picked out in the Chicago White Sox World Series on the television crowd. I said that is the neatest thing in the world. It really is.
Yeah, he's definitely a White Sox fan. I mean, there was a big discussion about that right away. It's like more important than how he might be as a pope is who's he for in Chicago baseball.
All right, we're 1 month into the papacy. Has anything surprising happened from Ambassador Francis Rooney's perspective, or anything great, or anything not so great?
Oh, I think that Pope Leo's come out of the box clear and strong. I think it was good of him to say what he did about Trump, quite frankly. Mm-hmm. And I think that he's starting to set a tone, which will be a very refreshing tone after some of the, as he kind of alluded to, off-the-cuff things of Pope Francis.
Ambassador Rooney, let's go back to your time as ambassador to the Holy See for the United States of America. It is one of the most prestigious posts in all of the Department of State. How did you come to be our ambassador to the Vatican?
President Bush asked me to do it.
Yeah.
And it was as you say, it's a very important pick for a president. You know, my predecessor had been head of the Republican National Committee, which is a pretty high position in our circles. And so I was really thankful that the president asked me to do that.
And it impacts so much, far beyond the Vatican itself, because of the reach of Catholicism and the Vatican.
Yeah, like I wrote in my book, The Global Vatican, the church has a unique standing in the world because it's not a hegemonic power, but it still has global influence. So it can, I call it soft power, and they can do things in the world that really a secular country can't accomplish. I can give you several examples. I mean, in 2007, some British soldiers, Navy men, were allegedly picked up in Iranian waters. We don't think they really were, but that's what the Iranians said. And Tony Blair couldn't get them out, so he suggested that we get the Pope involved, and the Pope did get involved, and he wrote Ahmadinejad, and lo and behold, on the following few weeks later on Easter, Ahmadinejad let him out and read a letter which was identical to what the Pope had written.
It really can be a force for good. How interventionist in world events do you think Pope Leo will be?
Well, I think he will. I think he'll lean in on foreign policy more like Pope Benedict did. Pope Francis kind of got foreign policy too confused with social policy. I'm hoping that Pope Benedict will be able to be constructive in speaking out against countries that are not working in either the Holy See's interest or the United States' interest. You know, when George Bush came over in 2007, we sat there with the Pope and talked about 16 different countries where the U.S. and the Holy See were conducting parallel, mutually reinforcing diplomatic activities.
Amazing. Just amazing that the time you had. How long were you ambassador?
3 years.
3 years. Man, you had seen so much. That's incredible. Your experiences, and I mean that's why you're the go-to expert on the papacy when things like this happen. What do you see for the future of this Pope, and what do you hope for the future of this Pope, Ambassador Rooney?
Well, I'm hoping that he steer us back towards the middle a little bit, leaning against some of the concepts that you alluded to earlier, that we get kind of the best of both worlds, that we get the doctrinal attention and focus on the human condition of Pope Benedict, but we also get the interest in the plight of aggrieved and at-risk people around the world that Pope Francis brought.
Yeah. Great stuff. Well, Ambassador Rooney, thank you very much for being with us. We look forward to your next appearance on the program, and I learned a lot from you watching Fox News coverage of the papal handover. Thank you for all of that.
Well, thanks for having me on.
All right. Ambassador Francis Rooney, former Florida congressman, and, of course, ambassador to the Holy See under George W. Bush. We'll take a break and be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. We're back. The Murph says that the Beach Boys had the #1 hit with Help Me Rhonda. This date, 1965. And, of course, that's the great Ronald Reagan at a meeting, summit meeting with Mikhail Gorbachev. This date, 1988. And speaking of this date, our man Bill Lewis, happy birthday, buddy. Happy birthday, my man. I'll be seeing you Saturday. One thing I missed, going back to the theme and the unfortunate reality of the phoniness of the Democrat Party and their leadership. Hillary Clinton, now Murph, or the history points out, the Bulldog actually found this, Mount Everest conquered by Edmund Hillary. Okay, 1953. Now, Hillary was born, Hillary Clinton claimed that she was his namesake. Because she was going to do great things and tying her to an amazing accomplishment. Well, she lied. These people are unbelievable. And that's what came to my mind as soon as I saw the Edmund Hillary, the real Edmund Hillary, getting to the crest of Mount Everest. By the way, if you're watching on live stream, the Bulldog is here. The camera or the microphone thing is blocking him a little bit. But you'll see my boy Chauncey in the picture just for a couple of minutes. Because then he's sitting on my chair, which means I'm standing because there's no room for the two of us. There's only so much, Anyway, yeah. Ambassador Rooney, I really enjoyed hearing him. We've had him on for years now. And I enjoyed hearing his picture of the whole package during the decision and the conclave to choose our new pope. And the fact that he knew this guy for 30 years, man, that's amazing, great stuff. So we'll be checking in with him as the Vatican and elsewhere has impact on our lives. So we'll be talking to him. By the way, sent to my man PJ, or from my man, Commonwealth Court has issued an order of an expedited schedule for Bill Gaughan, the Lackawanna County Commissioner's appeal. I read you that decision by the local court that he doesn't have standing to do it. There was no vote by the commissioners authorizing the county to sue on behalf of Bill Gaughan's political battle with Marty Flynn. And so they've got to file a bunch of stuff really quickly. And that's a good thing and maybe a good sign. They just want us to... There's no way that Gaughan has standing to do this. He's the guy who gave us, he and Paige Cognetti gave us Joe Biden Street. Disgusting thought. In any event, thank you, PJ, for that update. I didn't get a Mother Teresa yet, so someone was asking me to keep her friend Jack, or a buddy Jack, who has been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, in our prayers, and we can do that. The whole gang can. By the way, did you see the thing where an FTC, now this wasn't, now these are Democrat appointees, but an FTC, Federal Trade Commission judge, has ruled that Trump's tariffs under an emergency provision he has been using are unlawful. So now that's got to be appealed, probably to the D.C. Circuit, which is left-wing, after 4 years of Joe Biden and 8 years of Barack Obama in between, with Trump in between. And so it may have to go to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's got to step up here. The Supreme Court of the United States has to step up and say, basta, enough. We cannot do this anymore. We cannot have minor courts, which is what the district courts and the FTC court, trade court is. We can't have minor courts making worldwide decisions. They just don't have the power. They don't have the authority. So the Supreme Court better step up. And they better step up soon. All right. Well, get a look at Chauncey. I don't know how long I'm going to have him sit here, but the bull mastiff. He's a good boy. Right, Chauncey, aren't you? We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We want to hear from our great sponsors. We'll come back. We have a voters or a veterans tribute. We'll do the weather. And then we have the mayor-elect of Troop, Pennsylvania, our man Tony Amico. And he's going to talk a little bit about what he's up to. We'll take this break and be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by John Basiliga and his incredible companies, including Basiliga Hospitality. Grand opening tonight, starting at 4 o'clock. The Bulldog and I will be there, not in any capacity, just to eat. We'll be hanging out and enjoying ourselves at the Queen City Tavern, Lackawanna Avenue in downtown Oliphant. Eugene Gene Sarovitz. He was 91 when we lost him April 3rd. He was from Taylor. Born in Scranton. Married to his wife, Lillian, the former Lillian Sims. He was married to her for nearly 49 years before she passed away from ALS in 2007. Gene grew up on Cayuga Street, North Scranton. Graduated from the great Scranton Technical High School before joining the United States Army. A proud Korean War veteran, he served in the Army Security Agency. Some of his fondest memories: when he was at Cagnu Station near the city of Asmara in the Ethiopian Empire, now known as Eritrea. During his time at Cagnu, they did a little bit of hunting and a lot of other stuff. He achieved the rank of staff sergeant employed by Bell Telephone Company and its successor for over 30 years. He attended the University of Scranton during that time. Founding member of the North Scranton Sportsman's Club. He's survived by 2 sons, 4 grandchildren, 4 step-grandchildren, 6 step-great-grandchildren. Gene Sarovitz. Joseph Koizen. Beloved father, U.S. Navy veteran and lifelong learner. Passed away April 3rd, 1 day shy of his 88th birthday. Born in Scranton, raised in the Trip Park section of the West Scranton neighborhood. He grew up in his grandmother's family home where he learned to speak Lithuanian. His father worked in the coal mines. His mother worked at Scranton Lace Works. As a child, Joe found great joy growing up in Trips Park. Baseball player. That incredible neighborhood. He earned a Scranton Tech Red Raiders letter jacket playing high school basketball. He joined the U.S. Navy in 1959, where he held a top secret cryptographic clearance. He monitored submarine communications at far-off locations. He was stationed in Morocco, later in Adak Island, Alaska. After returning from the Navy, he met his wife, Dina Mastry, at a dance at the Dinner Bell in Dunmore in 1963. He worked at Haddon Craftsman and began collecting books, Tropic of Cancer, Leonardo da Vinci, Nostradamus, longtime patron and benefactor of the North Pocono Library. He used the GI Bill to earn a bachelor's degree in sociology from the University of Scranton, first in his family to go to college. He built a home in Rory Brook Township where he lived the rest of his life. His son, Joe Jr., made a career out of the United States Air Force at his urging. He was the executive director of the County Area Agency on Aging, Lackawanna County, taught at Lackawanna College. He's survived by his son, Joseph. This Renaissance man never stopped being curious. Joseph Koizen. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and the reopening of the Queen City Tavern tonight in downtown Oliphant. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, clouds, some breaks of sun, chance of a passing shower 72. Tonight, cloudy, chance of showers 58. Friday, partly cloudy with a chance of showers 76. Saturday, it's going to get cooler and a little lousy. Some showers as well, 63. Sunday, cloudy with a chance of shower 65 degrees. All right. Well, a friend of mine, I've known the family forever. And he moved to troop from Dunmore way back when and became a true trooper. Now, see, I was a trooper and moved to Dunmore. And he just got elected mayor. He won't take office till January, but he is with us now. Tony Amico, welcome and congratulations.
Well, thank you very much, Bobby. I just wanted to extend a thank you to the residents of the borough that saw me fit to represent them as mayor, and looking forward to the year ahead. We have the general election in November, and I guess I would assume my position then in January, unless there's a massive write-in vote on the Republican side. But that's the way it looks at this point. I know the borough residents are all referring to me as mayor, so I'm assuming that's what they want me to be.
Well, a Mason and a published author, not a bad combination.
Yeah, well, I'm just adding to my obituary column.
It'll be a long one, and it's getting longer. That's good to know. Well, I mean, it has to hearten you, and your plans now have to be crystallizing for what you want to do and how you want to hold the office and what you want that office to be. Tell us a little bit about that.
I want to be the band leader. They need someone to bring attention to the borough, and I'm going to try and do that. And it doesn't matter power-wise; it's a representation position that I want to take.
Yeah.
I do have responsibilities, and I'll take those seriously as well. But I want to bring some involvement to the borough that they haven't seen in the past, and I'm hoping that between myself and the members of the council, we can do something together. It was a respectable win. I took all 4 wards, 60% of the vote, but it was also a respectable loss for the current mayor because he carried 40%. And I'm thinking that, his World War II veterans and the people of his age group, they stood by him. And I think that's something to be admired as well.
Great people. Yeah, good. He's a good guy. Yeah, and you said that going in. But that it was time for a change, as good a guy as he was, and you pursued it that way. And being a positive candidate against an incumbent, it worked. Isn't that's refreshing?
Yeah, and and I'm not one to get a big head over things. I do look at it respectfully, and I am humbly honored.
Hey, you would understand this. I have my bull mastiff in the studio today. He's sitting in my chair, actually. You can see him on the live stream. But
unbelievable.
He's not going to be as big as your dog, but he's got some of those characteristics.
Yeah, well, Angel went to the service for Memorial Day, and he was very well behaved. We stood, across the street in front of the podium, and he greeted the residents very nicely. He slobbered on a few of them. And the only time he flinched was when the 21-gun salute went off, and he just flinched just for a bit, but he stood his ground.
The first Dane of troop.
Yeah, well, he's actually this Angel is my 6th Dane through the years, but 3 of them were here in the borough over the years.
Yeah.
So, this guy's special.
Well, Tony Miko, congratulations on being chosen to be the mayor of Troop. I know you'll have a good transition with the current mayor because of how well and I don't know, this is a great way you campaigned and presented yourself for office. So I wish you all the luck, and make sure you keep in touch on the radio with our whole gang here.
I will, absolutely. Once November's over, then I'll be a little bit more elaborate on what my plans are. But I don't want to give any indication at this point.
All right. Well, that's right. Get in first and then do what you got to do. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
That. All right. Tony Amico, mayor of Troop.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
right. We'll take this break, hear from our great sponsors. We'll come back. We got some calls we want to get to. Frank from Wilkes-Barre's on the phone. I got to think about it. Every time deeply. I'm going to consult with Chauncey, and we'll see what we're going to do after this commercial break. The Doors, they released their first single to radio stations. This date, 1967, and it became their first hit, Light My Fire. Bob Cordaro back with you on the eponymous program. Mother Teresa for May 29th. Special thoughts to Jack, battling cancer. We are here to be witnesses of love and to celebrate life, because life has been created in the image of God. Life is to love and be loved. That's why we all have to take a strong stand so that no child, boy or girl, will be rejected or unloved. Every child is a sign of God's love. Mother Teresa, St. Teresa for today. Thank you, Mary Regina, as always. She said, here you are, Bobby, sending me the Mother Teresa for you and Chauncey. Well, something interesting finally came to fruition. We had a chance to talk to him about it. But our man Frank Scavo, who was dumb enough, I admit, to go into the Capitol on January 6th, but caused no damage, was basically welcomed in by the Capitol Hill police in that chaotic day. He served his penance a couple of months at one of the prisons I was at. But he's back, and he got his pardon yesterday at 5 o'clock. Frank Scavo, first of all, congratulations, and welcome to the program.
Thanks, Bob. Promise is kept. And the song of the day is Bill Withers' Lovely Day. So I'm sitting here looking at my certificate of pardon issued by President Donald J. Trump. And, it's just an update on the saga that thankfully has come to an end. Because, they were continuing to arrest people that were on the grounds, on the steps, the Department of Injustice, which, by the way, everyone was paying for. We're all paying for that. So now that's come to an end. But I can tell you this. My pardon was issued February 14th. I just got it yesterday on the 28th. So I was hoping that Donald Trump was going to give it to me personally at Mar-a-Lago, but I guess my hopes are dashed now that may or may not happen.
We could do a representation.
I would hope, but here's what I'm doing. I'm going to text a picture of this to Mr. Chris Kelly and Mr. Boris Kravchuk. Bob, remember, my journey, my MAGA tourist journey was for about 8 minutes in the Capitol, nonviolent. And it was resulted in a misdemeanor charge, the same thing that Susan Sarandon was arrested for and handcuffed and drug out of the Capitol, but she never served jail time. I did 60
AOC the same. Remember?
Do you
remember when she pretended she had handcuffs on?
American justice.
Yeah.
But that's the point. I'm going to send it to these guys because the way they made it seem, it was a felony, and I was public enemy number one, which, the media definitely loved. The lying, racketeering, conspiratorial, collusional media narrative. Because you know what? They all play it.
Frank Scavo, a very important point, because they'll say, Trump did. But here's the point. Biden preemptively gave out pardons to people who hadn't even been accused of crimes yet. We knew they committed them, but they hadn't even been accused of them. And I keep pointing this out about when they throw the January 6th pardons out. Wait a minute. Frank already served his time. He served 3 months in prison.
And $66,000 and the January 6th committee. Bob, they tried to make a mountain out of a molehill, right? But in the end, guess what? It's done. It's over with. I did my time. Misdemeanor. It's all done. And the pardon states that if I had any rights I couldn't vote, couldn't hold office, they've all been restored. So, granted.
I'll have to get me one of those.
Bob, I'm going to tell you. I looked at the regular application for a pardon. It's like a form they'll take you 6 days to fill out.
I know. I saw. I was doing one in prison.
As a character reference. Yeah. So, and you know what? here's what I was thinking the other day when you were talking about I call it jail. When we were in jail, every morning you get your milks. You get your little milk and the little like you used to get at school, and everybody would yell, "Hey Franco, you want your milks?" And I was like, "Oh man, you guys want them here." So a little thing of milk and a little thing of cereal every day is what you have to look forward to in the gulag.
All right, well, Frank, congratulations. Frank Scavo, Old Forge,
Amen.
formally, completely pardoned of January 6th activities, and rightfully so. And he was more than punished for them, unlike other people who've received pardons under Biden.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
My family more so, but yes, we live to fight another day.
All right. Thank you, Frank. Good job. Hey, let's take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK, Bloomberg Money Minute in between, and then we'll be back. This was July 20th, 1987. I built a radio station, AM 750, WWAX. Jack Griswold, remember that name? He was my morning guy. And we launched the radio station July 20th, 6 a.m. with the Fifth Dimension, up, and away. That'll always have I was so busy finishing the construction of the station and all that kind of thing that I didn't have time to think of the first song we were going to play. Jack picked this, and I said, man, perfect, Jack. You nailed it. Radio legend Jack Griswold. Hey, quickly, the forecast, we see it on all three of the rags. Probably in the Pottsville paper, too. Below the fold, first page. Forecasters, get ready for years of killer heat. And the subhead above the headline, climate change. They never quit. They never admit they're wrong. Ever, 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 ever. Somebody says, I really need you to take Frank from Wilkes-Barre's call. I'm having a rough day working in the rain, and I need mental reinforcement that I am not one of the insane people out there. By the way, working across, how about this? One of our veterans we're celebrating today, Joseph Koizen. I'm working across from Joe Koizen's house on Route 307 in Roaring Brook. Wow, isn't that great? Well, hey, we can't deny that. And here we are. He's with us. We let his theme song play. And there he is. Frank from Wilkes-Barre. Hi, Frank. How are you, man?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you.
You got your stories mixed up again, as usual,
Which one?
about the three judges that stopped Trump's tariffs. One was Bush, one was Trump, and I think one was Obama. They're not our liberal.
Oh, the Federal Trade Commission ruling.
Yeah, that was 3 years. Yeah, one was Trump, one was Bush, and one was whatchamacallit. He broke the Constitution.
He broke the Constitution. You're taking it to that level, Frank.
Well, dude,
I think the Constitution. I am
am
checking online to see if the Constitution is broken. I'm going to look at the. What's
your theory about
there's a
it?
live stream of the document, and I'm going to look and see if it's broken.
Well, how can it? What reason you said he can do it then?
Well, his legal advisor said they could, and I don't think the Federal Trade Commission has a place in this argument at all. That's what I think.
That's what they're there for. You don't think
Frank, you hadn't even heard of the Federal Trade Commission before yesterday.
Well, you're dumb. You don't know a lot of things. I mean, I heard about it.
No, I said you hadn't heard of it.
Yeah, you're hoping the Supreme Court will help them out, huh? That'll be so fun. They'll never hit them because it's in the Constitution. And
no, it's not. No, it's not in the Constitution, Frank. Frank, the next time you read, Frank, I'll be blunt with you. The next time you read the Constitution will be the first time.
What do you mean? You never read it. You're a jerk.
Why is Joe Biden saying that to you?
You're a jerk. You can't even talk normal to a person.
Frank. All right, Frank.
Let
me ask you.
You got it in your head that you're
Frank, I'm assuming you're retired. What did you do for a living?
What did I do for a living?
Yeah.
Construction work.
All right.
I was in the Vietnam War construction. Where were you at? What are you talking about?
Frank, I'm not saying it to attack you. Take it easy.
Yeah,
Try and take it easy, Frank.
Yeah,
all right, first of all, if you serve this country, thank you. I appreciate it greatly. Now, number two.
But my vote ain't good because I'm a Democrat.
Well, no, your logic is off the charts. I don't even understand what your point is.
I'm user on there about the bill they passed. Now the Senate and Dave McCormick, they're going to rip it apart. Now,
I hope they make it. I hope they actually put. Frank, I hope they actually put some actual spending cuts in there. That would be nice. There are no spending cuts. There's no spending cuts yet.
They got enough. Well, how about the taxes for the rich? You don't want that taken out?
Frank, the only tax policy that is new, by the way, that is.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna.
Frank, you've got to listen. Frank, the only tax portion of the bill that relates to taxes that is new is giving a tax credit to people receiving Social Security. That would be you and hopefully someday soon me. Giving no taxes on tips and no taxes on overtime. All for the working people. There are no tax cuts for the rich. Period. Anything else, Frank, is a lie.
Can I say something?
Why can't you face that?
they have a hearing in the Senate over the bill, and they don't have nothing in there that says there's going to be no tax. The taxes are remaining on Social Security. He didn't take them out. You read the bill. We'll find out.
Frank, they gave a credit. See, you don't even listen. Do you Do you require a hearing aid? I'm not kidding. Do you?
No.
Well,
The
put it in, then get one.
In
Get a hearing aid. I just told you what is.
No, you told me what you think is.
No, I told you what is in the bill that was passed in the House. Now, tax rates were unchanged in the Biden administration for 4 years. Your guy. And there are no tax cuts for anybody wealthy in this bill. Zero.
Oh, that was like last time. Nobody wealthy. They all got the money. You just
Frank.
Bob, you're so out of it. You just lie to the people that you talk to. You tell them what you want to hear.
I had to bring in your brain dead president to stop you. You don't mind that, do you? Frank, by the way, what do you think of your president, Joe Biden? He was brain dead while he was president. You know that now, right?
He had the greatest economy.
Frank, you know that now, right?
Good for being brain dead. What did Donald Trump do it? What did Donald Trump? Farmers are going under. Canada don't like us. Nobody likes us.
All right, it's time for the news, Frank. I gotta go, but I love you. Give us a call again. It's exhausting. We'll take a break, and I did that for you. I suffered. I suffered through that while you're working across from our good friend Joseph Coisen's house. So I hope it lifted your spirits. It's time for the news with Brian Hughes. We'll be back. Thank you, Levon. Great good morning, everyone. 11:12 a.m. here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Thursday, May 29, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. It's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of John Basiliga and his newly reimagined Queen City Tavern, downtown Oliphant, opening this afternoon to honor veterans we lost this year. Joseph Koizen, Roaring Brook, formerly of Scranton. Gene Saravitz, Taylor. Joseph Mallist, Avoca. Joseph Swerble, Hazleton. Charles James, Dallas. And Charles Lamoureux, 44th. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Well, we've got two interviews coming up this half hour. Our first is with Kalen Dees. He's the Supreme Court reporter for the Washington Examiner. And we've had him on before, and he's great stuff. And a Biden-appointed judge just blocked the Trump administration, as some of you may know, from deporting 8 violent illegal immigrants to South Sudan. The insanity does not end, and that's why the battle is over, but the war goes on. Kalen Dees, Washington Examiner, welcome back to the Bob Cordaro Show. How are you?
Doing well, Bob. It's a pleasure to be back here.
All right, tell us what is going on now.
Well, we saw earlier this week another emergency petition made to the Supreme Court, not because the Trump administration is just so trigger-happy and eager to get to the Supreme Court, I would say. Mind you, they would like to not take these steps, but because these lower court judges, specifically in this case a Biden appointee, is now causing a sort of custodial limbo with these 8 criminal migrants who have a criminal record and were deported on the basis that they have previously received orders from judges that allow for their deportation. Everything should be kosher, but because this Biden-appointed judge had a problem with them being deported to a third country, in this case, South Sudan, now they are in Djibouti on a military base, and it's causing problems for the government because this is not even a base that's intended to be housing migrants. This is a military base.
And the odd thing is that in the case of the Maryland man, the MS-13 member, the human trafficker, they argued almost the exact opposite, that he can't be sent back to his own country.
Right, exactly.
The insanity doesn't end. Will, what's your sense? Is the Supreme Court going to finally take up and say, look, FTC judges and district court judges cannot make international policy? Is it going to happen?
Well, I think that this is very much a much different case in the sense that we know that all of these men are convicted of violent crimes. And I think that the question that should be rather easy for the court to answer, if they would like to take a route that is following what other lower court or should I say immigration judges have found, is that Section 241 of the Immigration and Nationality Act allows for DHS to remove aliens to a third country if their home country or last residence won't take them. I mean, this is simply, the issue here. Under Obama, he was kind of nicknamed the deporter in chief because he had over 3 million deportations and stuff like that. But guess who wasn't going against him on those issues? The ACLU and the countries that were being all the foreign countries weren't saying no to receiving these immigrants. But for some reason, whenever Trump's in power, we get all these countries that are saying, no, we don't want to take them back, or the ACLU is stepping in and trying to fight and everything. I think that this is so cut and dry. I can't believe it's even a problem. I spoke to a former immigration judge, Arthur, and he was very explicit. He told me that the INA is clear that district courts lack authority to hear habeas efforts to execute removal. I mean, he said that there were at least two additional statutes, the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigration Responsibility Act, and then also the Real ID Act, have provisions that outline this very clearly, that, you know, that the judges, these district court judges, lack jurisdiction to halt these removals. So this Brian Murphy, the judge who was telling the administration that they're the ones giving such a hard time, you know, saying, you know, that, you know, mocking them almost by saying it turns out that having immigration proceedings in another continent is harder and more logistically cumbersome than defendants anticipated. That is such a disgrace to the office of this administration. But not just that, but also the officials who are charged with processing these people from point A to point B. They're the ones who are risking their lives, because if there was something like a prison break or something like that, who knows what could happen. So, I mean, there's a lot of danger that comes with transporting criminals like this to such a faraway place, and for them to be just isolated in limbo in Djibouti is just kind of it's a tragedy.
Scary stuff. Kalen Deese is our guest. He's the DOJ reporter for the Washington Examiner. Where does this end up?
Well, so I can tell you that the Supreme Court has acknowledged the emergency request that was sent on Tuesday from the Solicitor General D. John Sauer. He filed his petition to the Supreme Court, and the justices have asked for responses from parties for the representative attorneys for these criminals and the government by, I believe, 4 p.m. on Thursday. So for me personally, I was a little bit taken aback by how much the Supreme Court did not give this any sort of haste or a need for responses by even this week. You know, they're saying next Thursday, I should say, is when they're expecting responses. So I think that, you know, from a standpoint of like the administration is, you know, saying this is something that needs to get resolved rather quickly, because we need to figure out if we can, you know, get these guys over to South Sudan. They're not, the justices aren't taking a very, fast approach to hearing this out. And maybe, you know, that comes with the fact that they're also dealing with a bunch of other emergency appeals stemming from Trump administration policies. So, you know, they could have their own reasoning for this, but I was just a little bit surprised that they didn't want to, get this resolved even by, you know, say early next week. But it's gonna take a little bit of time, I think, for us to see what happens with this one.
Oh, quite amazing. And please check back with us as this moves forward. It is frustrating. I just hope they keep their cool and continue to push on in whatever forum they're forced to push on. But tough stuff. Kalen Deese, Washington Examiner, thank you so much, and look forward to speaking with you soon.
Thanks, Bob. Have a great day.
All right. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We're going to come back with David Nabhan. He is talking about the epiphany of John Fetterman. We'll talk to him when we get back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. James Taylor. Murph says this date, 1971, he released his hit, You've Got a Friend. Well, great song. He's a little goofy. James Taylor's a little goofy, but what a great artist. And before that, the One World Observatory opening at the top of the One World Trade Center, New York City, 2015. Sad, it makes you think back to 9/11. Well, I get an email from a guy by the name of David Nabhan. Is it? Well, I'm going to get the correct pronunciation. I think it's Nabhan. And he's a Pittsburgh guy. He's a science columnist for both Newsmax and the Times of Israel. And he is sort of coming around on John Fetterman. And as you know, I'm not. So we went back and forth, and I said, David, no, the guy's a wolf in sheep's clothing. And he hasn't changed. He's just said a couple of things that make some sense. But I said, you come on, you make your case. Whatever that is, and it's a much fuller case than that. I will concede, of course. And here he is, David Nabhan. I'm pronouncing it right now?
Yes, you are.
All right, Nabhan, thank you. Well, you wrote this great article, really well written.
Thank you.
And it just suggests that Senator Fetterman has sort of steadily supported normalcy, which it's funny that has become the new gold standard when you're a Democrat. But that aside, tell us your position and what you outlined in this really fine article.
Well, to paraphrase a great writer, I come onto your show not to praise Senator Fetterman. I'm with you, but to bury the extremist wing of the Democrat Party. And yeah, like you say, I did stick up for John Fetterman like gangbusters in that op-ed in the Pittsburgh Chronicle, but that was easy to do considering the voices. I've been listening to your show, and boy, I agree with you on a lot of stuff. The voices that are now ranged against him, the lunatic fringe from the far left side of a once sane Democrat Party, now taken over completely almost and zombified to do the bidding of keffiyeh-wearing anti-American death cultists. I certainly share your misgivings about Senator Fetterman. I disagree with him on many important issues. I voted against him, but here he is standing up against the worst people in our nation's politics, and for that he does us all a great service.
Yeah. What is this an epiphany? I mean, I've studied the guy's career. Is this an epiphany for him, or is this of a piece with his prior career?
Who knows? But you can see that the things that he's done to make them, the knives are out for him. His own staffers have stabbed him in the back.
David, the delicious irony is that they're questioning his mental fitness when they didn't question Joe Biden. You can't make up who these people are. They're insane.
It's unbelievable. And, he's got a lot of guts. He's called the down with oligarchy malarkey. When the patently normal things that he's doing, any sober, fair-minded, sensible person would do just the same. They've turned on him though for, he supported a bill that imposed sanctions on the International Criminal Court for their issuance of an absurd arrest warrant for the Prime Minister of Israel on war crime charges. He had the temerity to vote yes on a couple of President Trump's cabinet members. And he goes on CBS and NBC, and they ask him plain to his face about the oligarchy, and he calls it malarkey. So,
and he's going, in that respect, he's going against his goofy former mentor and god, with a small g, Bernie Sanders. So, I mean, it's even more compelling.
Well, and I'm just particularly happy that the op-ed aired in the Pittsburgh Jewish Chronicle, since, future historians are going to certainly be scratching their heads as to how Jewish Americans could be so closely aligned with the world's most fervently anti-Semitic political party. You called them not a political party; it's a political movement, and you might have been right. It doesn't seem in any way, shape, or form to have any semblance of, a two-party system requires that both parties, like a sporting team, is having the most pathetic competition in sports. is anathema to the system. So you want a two-party system, not a one-and-a-half-party system. And I admire him, and I'm probably going to vote for him. He's in the middle of his term, but I'm going to vote for him just to do
I
my
beg
little...
you not to, by the way. You use the same words that I used. He's suffering from arrested development. He's an arrested development teenager. I can't get over the hoodie and the shorts act. I just can't. That indicates something scary to me. Not normal, scary.
But can you appreciate his courage? I'll just ask you that. Can you appreciate his courage?
Sometimes you're too dumb to be courageous or afraid. I admire what he's saying on a couple of issues, and there we've got common ground regarding John Fetterman. And I appreciate, by the way, fully what you said and your reasoning. These are the kind of political discussions we'd have across, I don't know your political party, but across the aisle in the old days. Reasonable discussions, reasonable disagreements, not the straight out insanity. My problem with Fetterman is not only who he is and his past, but he votes with them 98% of the time.
Yeah. It's,
he doesn't. He talks a good game.
You're almost convincing me now.
He talks a good game. He just doesn't deliver. And if he had a reasonable position on all issues, he'd switch to Republican or Independent now.
Well, you saw it. That's how I ended my op-ed. I suggest that he should do that. That he should follow Senator Manchin's path, and if he did that, they'd quit calling him crazy and just start calling him a Nazi. Which I don't know which is worse, but they would immediately do that. He'd at least get the knives out of his back as far as the mental health acuity is concerned. He'd turn into a Franco or a Pinochet.
Yeah. Well, David Nabhan is our guest. I guess we could call it the case for John Fetterman. We could define it. You make so many good points that it is hard to argue with you as to the points. But I still say, in the main, David, this guy's he's a left-wing lunatic, and just because he has a couple of reasonable statements on the border, on Israel, that are so obvious, I almost can't give him credit for them,
Well, his staffers and the senator himself are going to hear this, so if you have something to say to him, this is now the time to do it. I assure you, I'm going to make sure he hears every word of this.
Well, by the way, I'd have a beer with him any day. I actually like the guy. I don't know him personally at all. I've never met him. But I like him. It's just a matter of not my senator. That's all.
Well, we could have done a lot worse. You're talking about the craziest people on either side of the Pecos River, pregnant men, hundreds of genders, men showering in girls' lockers, erased borders, Hamas mass murderers and mass rapists as the good guys, drag queens reading to, the preferred profession library seek out to read to our toddlers at story hour. These and 100 other suicidal ideas are not spawned by the Republican or the Libertarians or even the Greenies, who are insane in their own way. But, there's these and other minor attracted persons, they come from the DNC. This is a party that is, they've lost their mind in public. And you say, I've been listening to your show, you've hit the nail on the head so many times. They just keep lying, and they just keep repeating it, and they just keep, the volume goes up, and they assume that's what's going to work with the American people. Yeah. And it has, which is shocking. The American people haven't shown much good sense over the last decade or so, but I'm with you. I have a feeling it's running thin. That people are waking up. A lot of the most even liberal media venues are giving me a voice now, saying some amazing. In Britain, for example, and in places like Philadelphia, liberal cities like Pittsburgh and Washington D.C. I've noticed that the zeitgeist has changed. Donald Trump has really his effect on this nation is astounding. It's history making, actually, and I'm just hoping that the voters in Pennsylvania will wake up.
Quick question, because we're low on time. But, and by the way, we are talking with David Nabhan. He's a science reporter, and he wrote this article. Senator Fetterman must have health concerns since he supports Israel, and it was so poignantly titled. But let's go a step further and ask you: you're a renowned science writer. And something made you step into a completely different realm, politics. What was that?
The climate lunacy, the climate extremism, the climate alarmism that is the Marxist plan to destroy the West by pulling the rug out from under us, pulling our energy away from us, pulling our food away from us, destroying agriculture, destroying our military. That's one of the greatest concerns. And you talk about being fleeced. You talk about an electorate that is asleep. If I could push a button and fix one great problem in this nation, it would be to have every global warmista realize that they have been shills for a 40, 50-year-long malarkey that has cost us tremendously.
Often mistaken, never in doubt. The Al Gores of the world. And, well, listen, David Nabhan, you are welcome back anytime. You keep writing. And we'll talk to you about the climate, too, which, by the way, your guy Fetterman won't support any of your previous statements. But
at least at least he'll go for fracking, and we need methane. We need natural gas. That's where our ammonia comes from. That's where our fertilizer comes from. That's where our food comes from. At least he's that sane.
Well, we look forward to having you on again, David Nabhan, a science writer who's delved into politics, and we're happy he did. Thank you for being on the Bob Cordaro Show. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You got my address, my friend.
All right.
Have
a good day.
We'll take a break. We'll come back, hear from our great sponsors, a Veterans Tribute, and then you, 570-883-0098. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by John Basiliga and his incredible companies. From Eastern Roofing Systems, commercial and institutional roofers, they'll take that expertise and come to your home. J. Bass Realty, some of the best commercial Class A space in the northeastern United States, and some of the most amazing apartments anywhere. Serenity Care, 4 totally revamped facilities, creating the gold standard for senior care in Northeast Pennsylvania. And, of course, Basiliga Hospitality, our featured properties this week, because tonight is the grand reopening of the Queen City Tavern, Lackawanna Avenue in Oliphant. And then this weekend, the soft opening, the premiere of the Stegmaier Mansion for every day, every night dining. Head back to Newport, Rhode Island at the Stegmaier Mansion, South Franklin Street, Wilkes-Barre. Charles James, he was 88 when he died April 5th. He was from Dallas. He moved to the Dallas area from New Jersey and graduated from Westmoreland High School. Drafted in the U.S. Army. He served us for 4 years in that great body. He attended Mansfield State College and graduated with a teaching degree in elementary education. Received his master's in education along with a principal and superintendent certificates. He taught in New Jersey, in the Army, and then at Lake Lehman School District, where he was the first elementary principal at Lake Lehman. He held that role for 31 years. Retired in 1997. Member of the Lehman Methodist Church, proud member of the Masons. Tragically preceded in death by his son, Scott. But he is survived by his wife of 65 years, Jane Ann. His children and their spouses, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and other family members. Charles James. Charles Lamoureux. He was 79 when we lost him April 8th. He was from Forty Fort. 1964 graduate of Forty Fort High School. He was a petty officer, 3rd class in the United States Coast Guard, serving us at U.S. Coast Guard air stations in St. Petersburg, Florida, and Brooklyn, New York. Loving, devoted husband, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, uncle, cousin, friend. Known for his quick wit, sense of humor. It was a warm 4th of July Saturday evening for Chuck and his friends under the roller coaster. Remember that? At Hanson's Amusement Park, Harvey's Lake, when he first met Elizabeth Riley. They were married in 1968. They packed several lifetimes worth of love and adventure into their marriage before she passed in 2017, just short of their 49th wedding anniversary. Chuck could be found behind the counter in the aisles of the local hardware store for over 3 decades. But he loved carpentry, his true love. He became actively involved with Vietnam, with veterans programs, the American Legion, the Disabled American Veterans, Volunteer of the Year by the Department of the Air Force in 2015. He'll be deeply missed by his daughters, blessed with 4 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. Charles Lamoureux. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by the reopening Queen City Tavern. Today's the day. Oliphant, PA. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, clouds, some breaks of sun, chance of a passing shower, 72 degrees. Tonight, cloudy, chance of showers, 58. Friday, partly cloudy with a chance of showers, 76. Saturday, cloudy and cooler with showers, down to 63 Saturday. Sunday, cloudy with a chance of a shower, 65 degrees. Bob Cordaro back with you. So 2 good interviews. They were enjoyable. Hey, I want to mention this. WLK is giving you a chance to win lunch at Isabella Restaurant. And that's my buddy Bob Tamber's restaurant. It is outstanding. They're on Route 315 in Wilkes-Barre. There's a winner every week. You get a $50 gift certificate from Isabella Restaurant. Enter to win at WILKNewsRadio.com. And there's other contests. The Giant Floor Deal. You can enter once per day. So go to WILKNewsRadio.com and enter these contests. I think you just might be very happy you did. Well, let's go to Jim from Harding. He's calling on John Fetterman. How are you, Jim?
Pretty good. The one caller that said he's going to vote for John Fetterman, doesn't he realize it's actually voting for Schumer? And we can't afford to let that guy become a majority leader in the Senate anymore, because these are globalists. This ain't Democratic Party anymore. They don't believe in voter integrity. They're doing everything. They're going to open up that border again. And all these people, like these globalists, of these over a dozen women raped or murdered, that's collateral damage to them. They don't care as long as they get in power. What's wrong with these people?
And they think they will be shielded forever because they're big on the Islamist train too. Oh yeah, not the Muslim train. I'll point that out every time I mention it. Not everyday Muslims. We're talking about Islamists who want to take this country over without firing a shot, and they're helping. The left and the Democrat Party is all in on this insane project.
Yeah, another thing, I guess at Harvard, an injunction is going to be placed on Trump. What I can't understand, when it comes to foreign policy, that's the Secretary of State and the President's call. It ain't Harvard to see who comes in or who stays. I say what? These people that vote in Democrat, they better get their comprehension skills down because they're lacking in that department.
They're voting for a political party that does not exist and hasn't. Certainly not for the last decade.
Well, let's see. I was a Democrat all my life until 2014. I became an independent. But then when Trump ran the first time, he only had to say one thing. He's going to secure that border. Then I became a Republican.
By the way, how about that other lie, speaking of the border? Oh, I need more legislation. I need more of this. I need more of that. Trump shuts it down in what, a week?
Oh, yeah. They want these people coming in. It doesn't matter, like, say, collateral damage. And then they're talking about Social Security. Okay, now they ain't going to have, taxes taken on that. But they're saying it's going to cost billions of dollars. Look at the hundreds of billions we're paying for all these illegals that the Democrats brought in for their vote.
Yep. It's an incredible thing. Jim, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Have a nice day and weekend.
You too, my man. Jim from Harding. Let's take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll hear from our great sponsors, find out what's happening in the markets on Bloomberg Money Minute, and then we'll be back. Murph tells us the Stones, they had the #1 hit in the country. This date, 1971, Brown Sugar. Bob Cordaro back with you. And by the way, Bulldog, let's do Alice. Well, okay, we can't do Alice Cooper, can we? Because he was recently at Terra 519 for a birthday celebration for a member of his family. We would love to, but I guess we can't, right, Bulldog? We're finishing today with Bob Dylan joining the band and our guy Lee Von Helm on stage to perform The Wait. And that's how we're going to wrap up the program. Hey, this is just nuts what we're dealing with, isn't it? I'm looking. Here's the headline. I'll get to it tomorrow. It just. His articles are so stupid that you can't even give them credence. But they are emblematic, as I said an hour or so ago, of the lunacy of the left. So we'll talk probably, hopefully, about Chris Kelly attacking Muser, Bresnahan, everything about. I mean, he's mentally ill. But the one thing I wanted to bring up, especially with Chauncey in the house, there's a lawsuit. Jim Lockwood wrote the article the other day. Lawsuit claims the house with 10 or more mastiffs is a public nuisance. And I would wager, having a bull mastiff, that one is enough. I cut that out and just got a kick out of it. But I don't know. Well, guys, always great being with you. You know that. The Sue Henry Show's next. The Rob O'Donnell Show after that. But for now, we're going to wrap up with a final mention of our great veterans. The men we honored today, thanks to John Basiliga and his great companies. Charles Lamoureux, 40 Fort. Charles James, Dallas. Joseph Koizen, Roaring Brook, formerly of Scranton. Gene Saravitz, Taylor. Joseph Mallist, Avoca. And Joseph Swerble, Hazleton. And thank you for all your comments regarding these really not famous, but great men. Guys, have a great one. Enjoy your afternoon and God willing, I'll be back with you tomorrow at 9 a.m. for another edition of this Lollapalooza, otherwise known as the Bob Cordaro Show. The Queen City Tavern opening tonight, 4 o'clock. You'll be stunned when you walk in. You really will. Have a great afternoon. But no matter what we say, for now we've got to sign off and gavel to a close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Have a great afternoon.